Hello everyone. This is the first video when you finally hear a useful voice. I hope this will bring more value and so make videos more interesting to watch and listen. This video, in particular, is about a very important commander that casual players often neglect. But you can become a more pro version in the way you play. Listen. You know this lady perfectly well. For a short historic intro, Joan of Arc is considered a heroine of France for her role during the Lancastrian phase of the 100 Years' War and was canonized as a Roman Catholic saint. As a saint, as she was, some bad things happened. On the 23rd of May 1430, she was captured at Compiègne, which is about 80 kilometers northeast from Paris, and later put on trial. After Bishop Pierre Cauchon declared her guilty, she was burned on the 30th of May 1431 when she was 19 years of age.
We have found the witch, may we burn her?
The interesting part was in 1456 charges against her was debunked and she was declared innocent. Basically, burned for nothing. And it took 25 years to figure it out. Therefore, in the 16th century, she became a symbol of the Catholic League. Later on, in 1803 she was declared a national symbol of France by Napoleon Bonaparte. And even later she became a celebrity commander in Rise of Kingdoms. How cool is that? So Joan of Arc has a bit of history. Hopefully, it makes you more aware of her and interested. In this game, skills are everything when we speak about the strength and abilities of every commander you can find in this game. In my case, you see Joan fully maxed out. All skills are at maximum level and she can lead 195,500 troops to the battle at level 51. To do it right, you must understand how her skills work because otherwise, you can have painful losses. Let's dive into skills, shall we? If you're a frequent viewer of Rise of Kingdoms videos there, on YouTube, you know one thing for certain. First skills of every commander are often the most important ones. The same we say about this skill as well. Joan is different because she does not have skill damage. But something more important than that. As I said, people often neglect this commander because it is inconvenient for 1 versus 1 combat, but their Joan is very convenient. Divine Revelation is an active skill. It requires 1000 rage like any other skill. Keep in mind that Joan is recommended to use when she is maxed out. Then she reaches the full potential you need. By this skill, Joan grants her own troops and nearby friendly forces a powerful buff. Again, a buff. It increases infantry units' health by 30%, then cavalry defense by 30% and archers' attack also by 30%. This is quite something. And on top of that, she generates rage to all troops she empowers. 50 rage per second for 4 seconds leads basically having the buff active all the time. Not only for you and all your marchers but for your allies and all their marchers. In 1 versus 1 combat, she is useless. But do you know where she more than very useful?
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you know that she's a bad chick. All the boys stare, can't help it, it's a habit. Clothes that she wears, short skirt and a jacket. I just wanna get her all alone on a mattress. I just wanna have it, I just gotta have it. Rumors all around say her body is fantastic. All natural, not a piece of fur is plastic. Head to her toes, yeah, they say that she's a latch. Yeah, the whispers all around say she has a reputation. Don't believe it till I see it, so I want a demonstration. And I've always learned it better with a hands-on education. So I need a private session if you get what I am saying. And they say that she's not easy, no, she's really complicated.
A short extract from the first season of KVK we had. You don't need to be a genius to understand that many marchers fight many marchers. And in this case, Joan is the most useful commander you can bring because for every 3 ally members you make 4th one to be online. Then basically you become a god who summons people to the battlefield. Well, this happens because if you empower 3 members by 30% each, it nearly makes 3 people as strong as any 4 players you will be facing against. So this is useful. I recommend Joan if you are a free-to-play player and can't do a lot of damage like Wales in your alliance. So to empower your alliance you bring Joan of Arc because of her first skill. The second skill is good for your economy. If you want to be rich in this game, Joan is a good start to work towards it. Resources in this game are extremely valuable and you need them to develop your city as well as your military. To do it successfully, you need resources and the best way to get them is to gather. This is a very conventional way. The easier way would be to spend money. But let's focus on this skill. The Maid of Orleans is a skill which allows you to gather resources faster and more of it. It has 5 levels, and with each of them, your gathering capabilities increases accordingly. If we speak about casual nodes on the map, you will need fewer troops to send to it, and they will work faster than usual. Imagine scenarios during killing event when everyone wants to beat your farmers. If you like making this mistake and send your gatherers to the node during this period, you will have fewer losses than normal people who did not watch this guide. Especially this skill is useful when you need to go away from your device to sleep. So then you send Joan to the Alliance resource pit and gather up to 25% more resources while you sleep. Theoretically, at the end of the week, you are 2 days ahead of those who don't use Joan or similar gatherers in this way. The third skill is less special than the previous two. The Holy Refuge is a passive skill which grants you a 10% chance to heal your troops in the battle. The bad thing about it is you can trigger it only once every 5 seconds. The good thing, you finally find the first hint on how to combine Joan with other commanders. You already know that the first skills empower everyone around. Now, we have the third skill which heals your troops. From there you can think about other commanders which also have healing skills to make a sensible combination. Richard or Pelagius are 2 among others in case you undecided you are pro-cavalry or pro-infantry. This skill is obvious. The higher the level, the more wounded troops you can revive and bring back to life to fight another day. Or shorter. Finally, the last, 4th skill is the most interesting one because it is attack-oriented. That is why currently my Joan sits in the primary march alongside Hermann to lead archer troops. Saint increases normal attack damage by 25% if you get this skill maxed. The logic is simple. The higher the skill, the louder screams of the injured opponent. This skill can deliver the whole world of hurt. But it only a small portion of Joan's preparation for a battle. This part, you can't ignore it. Talents are as important as your skills. You can't send farmers to fight and leave fighter in farmlands. It does not make much sense. That is why you need to understand this talent tree. Basically, you have 3 paths to develop Joan. The most common is to develop her on gathering and reap benefits there. But if you do that, you are less able to fight in the battlefield and your farming ability brings a very little of combat utility. But let's say you don't want to farm but fight. Then you have talent development for support as well as integration. You will need to think to combine those 2 to make Joan capable to stand the heat in the battlefield. You need to understand the meta behind those 2 paths and design it yourself. Both support and integration paths are for mixed troops armies. When you look at my setup, you see my attempt to combine the best of 2 worlds. This setup is because I want to exploit Joan in gathering and get hasty departure to beat farmers during the killing event. Then no matter if I lead archers, I can escape from cavalry and they look hopeless.
Give me something close, give me something close. You're tumbling around in my head. Can't think through all the words I never said. Lie to cover up the feelings, let it end, it end, it end, it end. Why do we keep on keeping secrets? Why do we keep on keeping secrets? Keeping secrets. Why do we?
So yeah, this is the first video about Joan of Arc. Do you use her? Let me know in the comments below how it works for you. I hope this video brought value to you so you can give some feedback. Would you like to see more this type of explanatory videos on this channel? Subscribe, and if you want, visit video description to get links where I shared her talents with the short description in which circumstances they work. Here we go. See you later.